I am the CEO and founder of Innovation Leadership Board. We are an innovation firm based in Silicon Valley. We specialize in innovation models, techniques, and culture, and help organizations of all sizes around the world learn how to be more innovative, how to create cultures of innovation, and also to plan long range and get ahead of their competitors. Innovation means nothing and everything at the same time. At its core level, innovation is about creating new ideas that bring new value. So for companies, this new value will translate as economic return, as product sales, as service models, more customers. For nonprofit organizations, this value is social impact, making a difference in the lives of people in the community. And for people who also need to consider being innovative as well, the value is growth, personal development, and new learning. My belief is that innovation is really a mix of mindset and methodology. So mindset is your way of thinking about what the future will hold. For Americans, we take a very optimistic view of the future. It's not only that the glass is half full, but in certain communities such as Silicon Valley, California, we plan on creating an entirely new type of container, let alone the beverage that's going to go inside. Jokes aside, mindset matters because this affects all the actions, beliefs, and values that you bring to any problem in your life. Methodology helps because you now have tools to understand what to do next. And so when you think about innovation, these are tools, techniques, ways of doing things that allow you to understand how to start with a new idea, how to think about pursuing an entirely different market. And for me, even about creating a whole capacity for becoming a moonshot organization, really thinking big and disruptive and coming up with truly a radical idea. It's not so easy, and there's no perfect formula. In all the work that I've done with teams around the world, there is not one right way of doing things. There are better ways of doing and sparking innovation, and also to create cultures of innovation as well. In my work, we use a core set of tools that we have refined at Stanford University. Students are wonderful. They bring a fair amount of energy, ask naive questions, but also to help us test some of the assumptions that we have with these tools. And then we see the companies use these tools in all different types of contexts. The tools themselves range. There's tools that are best suited for early stage work around idea generation, for foresight strategy. There are later tools that help with prototyping and testing new ideas. But then you also have tools that help the team come together for being intentional about creating a climate where people feel that they can be inventive together, to feel collaborative. And then also tools to help with envisioning. And these are some of my favorite tools because, for example, a tool on a vision statement allows people to suddenly capture what they're trying to do in a few words, be succinct, and also help somebody understand the potential for an entirely new and often crazy idea. You can be innovative by yourself, but the impact is often smaller and more contained. But as history shows and countless research studies, ideas advance when a group comes together to work on them. Different perspectives are added, other skills and resources are brought to the mix, and then ultimately you're going to need other types of groups to actually make the idea come alive. And to be truly innovative, that idea needs to get delivered into the hands of a customer group or a set of users. And so working in a team, and particularly in today's modern world, is critical. And that team doesn't have to be co-located in the same place. You could have a team distributed all around the world, but they themselves need to recognize that they are working together, aligned, in pursuit of the same vision. Time is tricky, very true. So some things feel as if they're sped up, and certainly many of the technologies today, social media tools, these kinds of videos that we're doing, they help distribute and cross-pollinate new ideas faster than before. But at the same time, and the work that I've done in long-range planning and foresight show, some things don't change as fast as we think. People still need time to get ready in the morning. We still need to sleep. We haven't removed that particular behavior and the benefits sleep brings. But also, at a level of humanity, the adoption of new technologies has not sped up as fast as we think. And so if you look at how quickly or slowly mobile phones were adopted, when TV was introduced for the first time, or radio, automobiles, all of those take time for people to accept. And you can track this change over time and realize there's a life cycle to how new ideas are adopted, how they move from the early adopters into mainstream. And I think this is one of the frustrations for startup founders, is that it both feels as if things move too fast and too slow at the same time. I think you need all types of skills and disciplines, but a lot depends also on the person. And this is why I talk about teams. Not every individual can truly be multidisciplinary. Now, there has been a push in that direction, and particularly a few years ago, talk around T-shaped people, where the bottom of the T is depth or specialty in a particular discipline, and then the crossbar of the T would be more general knowledge. And this could be knowledge around business or design thinking or understanding of management processes. But I think there's been even more awareness in recent time of what you might call star-shaped people. And this has come up around discussions of fractal or complex leadership. And these are people who understand not just one or two domain areas, but they know how to work with teams, they know how to step up and be visionary thinkers. You recognize these people such as Walt Disney, Bill Gates, as having this ability, but at the same time, these are rare individuals to find, and the talent is hard to cultivate, and it takes time, going back to time, to build these different skills. And so this is why you rely on having a team where you can all balance and pull your skills and abilities together, and then also create a climate where everybody contributes to the sense of leadership. And then you may have somebody like a Bill Gates or aspiring leader into this role, and then this allows you to come together and be innovative. I work with different cultures, and many of them, actually, including those in the US, don't like failure for good reason. Failure is hard, it hurts. No one likes to have to get up and dust your knees off another time. But yet, failure is always an opportunity for learning. And it's hard to remind yourself of that. Even in Silicon Valley and the broader San Francisco Bay Area, there are many failures. And what has worked to the region's advantage is to talk about failure in more positive ways. So one of the popular terms lately among the entrepreneurial community is to pivot. Well, pivot simply means that your first attempt at a business model didn't work. It didn't stick with your target customers. So now you get to try again. Well, that's a type of failure. But it's also learning, and it also speaks to the other side of failure, which is persistence. And by doing this over and over again, and there's a saying with some colleagues at Stanford University that all design is redesign, you will continually find ways to try again until you make it work. I was just reading an article, in Forbes magazine talking about James Dyson. So here's this UK inventor. He's become quite well known for his inventions with the vacuum cleaner and hand dryers. If you look at how many prototypes his team develops to get to that one idea that makes it to market, it's countless, it's thousands. Well, for Dyson and his team, these are not failures. These are all part of the learning process. And he's relentless in getting to the one idea that works. And what I try and remind the teams and leaders I work with, think about the opportunity to learn again and to do again, because then you'll find something that works. There are many obstacles on the journey of innovation. Some are personal. There's a recent movement. It started in the realm of education, but has now crossed over into other disciplines that talks about a growth mindset. This is relevant when you think about personal achievement. A growth mindset believes that you can grow by learning from opportunity. So you just tell yourself, I need to learn this new skill, or I believe I can do this, or I'm willing to try, versus the opposite of a growth mindset refuses to take on new challenges, to say, these new skills aren't going to help me. And in doing so, of course, you don't create more opportunities for growth, and those are missed opportunities for then creating new innovations and pursuing new possibilities with other people. And so the first barriers start with yourself, but then the next set of barriers lead into what you do with your team. And then, of course, if you're operating in a larger culture, be it a corporation or a community, then those barriers get reinforced even more. So part of the summer I spent in Cape Town, South Africa. Amazing city in an amazing country. This is a country that has many challenges and barriers at all levels: economics, politics, financials, skills development. But yet across all of this, I have found many people to be very optimistic about what can be possible. It goes back to growth mindset. They're willing to try and they're willing to do more, which is very commendable. And they're willing to be open to new perspectives. And I'm learning just as equally from them, but I'm coming in as someone from California, from Silicon Valley, so with certain beliefs, and yes, I do travel and work around the world, but also recognizing many of the barriers are also unique for what they're trying to do and how they have to be creative in overcoming them. And I think the biggest recognition is that a barrier is only what you make of it. It's interesting, as I have learned more about Switzerland and Swiss people over this last decade. My first trip to this country was back in 2003. And so I've had the pleasure and privilege to see the changes happening since then and up to today. Well, the Swiss are known very much for ingenuity in watches and in trains, in digging tunnels, like the Goddard Tunnel, and biotech and other financial, banking, among other areas. But at the same time, the Swiss also bring very unique qualities in efficiency and reliability and precision engineering that don't exist in other countries or regions in the same way. And so I think this is a very powerful mix and perspective that gets brought to any opportunity within this country. And that's a good thing as well. And so I've been very intrigued to watch new incubators crop up, new types of activities, and particularly as different communities cross the cantonal boundaries and realize an entrepreneur here in the French-speaking part of Switzerland shares a lot with an entrepreneur in the German-speaking part. And being able to cross these boundaries and work together, I think, will be a bigger advantage for Switzerland, because within the broader EU and Europe overall, there's a lot of interesting opportunity that exists for where Switzerland sits And so to tap into that, I think, is going to be one of the areas of growth for the country.